Well, hello, Whitney High School students. This is Mrs. Shelton, and this is my second attempt actually at recording a screencast for discipline review. The last one was 22 minutes, so I'm going to do this in a shorter amount of time. I'm going to try to keep it under 15 in order to go over everything you need to know about the student handbook and a quick review of discipline. Now, the good part is we have amazing students here at Whitney High School, so discipline review is actually pretty short. So with this, let's begin. For your yearly discipline reminders, just be aware that most of our rules that we have here at Whitney High School are really to help you meet your goals of being college and career ready. We want you to graduate from high school. So, therefore, when we start pushing you to class, it's because we want you to be successful. We also want you to be safe, and we also want you to grow as a human and make those socially responsible decisions. So the Whitney High School Student Handbook, it's going to detail a lot more of the discipline that we do have and some of the rules that we have. This is just going to be some highlights of some of those common trends in student discipline for you. Now, this is your admin team. There are four of us, Mr. Collins, Mr. Dietrich, Mrs. Hanks, and Mrs. Shelton. These are your discipline techs, Mrs. Alcala, Mr. Cameron, and Mr. Gonzalez. And there are other discipline support staff on campus too, including Officer Westfall. So he is our student resource officer with the Rockland PD. And then also our four counselors who are counselors by grade level. Now, our bell schedule, we are trying to stick to our bell schedule of our articulation day every Monday, where we begin at 8:45 and we end at 2 p.m. with a brunch in between. And then Tuesdays through Fridays, we do have zero periods. And so there aren't many students taking that zero period class every day, Tuesday through Friday. For the majority of us, we start at 8:45 again, just like on Monday. But we do have a brunch. We also have pause, and then we also have lunch in here, and we ultimately end at 3:40. Now, this is new for all students at Whitney High School is our tardy policy this year. So again, I already told you that going to class is actually really important for being college and career ready. So tardies, being on time, is really important. If your teacher marks you tardy, that does go in Aries under your attendance. And what we will be doing up here in the front office is just running your tardy count, and every 5 tardies is going to, or at least the first 5 tardies, is going to equal 1 detention. Now, if you end up getting 5 more tardies school-wide, you'll get 2 more detentions. But at that point, it's crystal clear that you have a problem with arriving to school on time or getting to class on time. So with that, we'll actually involve your parents, counselors, administrators in order to be able to correct that behavior so you're not chronically late to class. What do you think would happen if you are late to your job 5 times within a couple months? You're probably going to get fired. So this leads to that college and career readiness piece. Now, we also do have pause. So pause, we're going to start today. And with pause, your third block teachers will actually have a roster that shows the students that are required to stay in at pause. Now, on that roster, your name is on it if you failed 1 or more classes last semester. So that was from whether or not you are in middle school semester, you failed 1 or more classes, or in high school, you failed 1 or more classes. You obviously need the additional time to get instructional help to make sure you don't fall behind again. So be aware that pause, it is 30 minutes, Tuesday through Friday. It is a chance for any student to be able to get additional help from teachers, make up tests, have extra study sessions. But for those students that aren't required to stay in for pause, they can go out and choose to use that 30 minutes for additional lunch time. Do recognize, though, you cut pause, it is considered a cut, and you will have consequences assigned by the administration. Something else we need to make sure that we're clear on are the campus boundaries. So Whitney High School is a closed campus, which means that during the regular school day, students are required to stay within these boundaries. Now, the boundaries are clearly identified by black wrought iron fence until you get to the blacktop. And so the blacktop does not have a wrought iron fence around it, but after the blacktop, all of this area is considered out of bounds. The front of the school is considered out of bounds. The parking lots are out of bounds. So make sure that during the school day, you stay within those boundaries. Now, during pause and lunchtime, the boundaries do get a little more narrow. And so with that, this is where if you do choose to have pause as an extended lunchtime because you're not required to stay in, there are clearly red lines painted on the cement that we're going to ask you to stay within down by the amphitheater and the cafeteria. And the reason for this is, first of all, during pause, classes are still in session all around here. So we need to decrease any distractions that students who need that extra time for learning might have. But then during lunchtime, with lunchtime, we also need to make sure that the teachers end up having their uninterrupted lunch that they are guaranteed to have for 30 minutes. We also want to make sure that students aren't hanging out behind buildings and doing things that they shouldn't do. So please stay in an area where we can supervise during lunch and pause and stay within those red lunch boundaries. Now, for attendance, you do have to come to public school. It is compulsory education, and this is why we keep attendance. But if you do miss, because you will miss for a variety of reasons, your parents have to verify that absence within 5 days. So what I need you all to be aware of is that, ultimately you know when you don't come to school. So make sure your parents have called in that absence and they have cleared that absence for you. Otherwise, if they don't call the attendance window, it does turn into a cut and you will have detention or other disciplinary action taken. When you get to school, if you are running a little bit late, so you get to school, your alarm didn't go off, go straight to class if it's still before 9 a.m. It's still going to be counted as a tardy because 8:45 is when the tardy bell rings. So if you're getting to campus at 8:50, just go straight to class. We don't want you to take any more time by going to the attendance window because there's going to be a lot of kids who are coming late at that particular time. Again, it's still marked a tardy. If you arrive after 9 a.m., you do have to check in with the attendance office. So 9 a.m. or later, if you're coming onto campus, we've already counted that you're absent at that point in time. So you've got to check in with the attendance office. This also counts for any student that had a first block off period. If you're arriving late to your second block class and you had a first block off period, please make sure you check in with the attendance window. If you are leaving school early, students have to also have checked out through the attendance window and be carrying a yellow early dismissal form with them. There is no DoorDash allowed at school, so no outside food deliveries will be accepted. It's just kind of a common rule that we shouldn't have strangers delivering products to teenagers during the school day. That should be logical. If your parents, though, need to drop something off for you during the school day, say your Chromebook, because you're required to have a Chromebook every single day, they can drop it off in the front office. There are cubbies in that front office that they can leave it for you right there and you can come in and you can pick it up. Now, last year, Rockland Unified School District changed their dress code. And so this is just a summary of what Rockland Unified School District says all students must wear on a campus. Basically, what this is saying is that all students must wear clothes that cover your body. Your shirt has straps, your bottoms cover your buttocks, your footwear has soles. So with that, this one is kind of the one that's, it's kind of a gray area. Your torso has to be covered. Now, the rule that we go by here is that the bottom of your shirt should be touching the top of your pants. So that one, make sure that that is happening. Now, what they also outline in the Rockland Unified School District dress code are things that you can't wear. No one wants to see your underwear, so I don't want to see it. And I can guarantee that none of the discipline techs and definitely our SRO does not want to see it. No images or language that are depicting drugs, alcohol, tobacco, vaping. So you cannot wear your cookies shirt. So that should be obvious. Nothing that has hate speech, profanity, or prejudice. No pictures of weapons. Even if it is from a coffee company, you can't have depictions of weapons on that particular image. Lewd, obscene, or sexually explicit messages, yeah, Playboy actually falls under this too, so you can't wear that either. So with that, you can't wear your swimsuit during the school day. These should be obvious things. Wear clothes, don't wear clothes that are inappropriate. Cell phones, most of you have them, but remember what our school board policy says, is they may only be used before school, after school, and at lunch. Therefore, your teachers can have some pretty strict rules on what their cell phone policy is. So be mindful of your teacher's specific class policies for that cell phone and electronics use. They might have a cubby system for you. They might just ask you to keep it off and away and not be on it. But remember too, your AirPods, these are also count as an electronic device. And if they do get confiscated from misuse, then your parents are going to have to come pick it up at the end of the school day, and they probably will not be happy with that. Vaping, drugs, and alcohol. This is one that sadly is a problem here at Whitney High School and pretty much every campus, high school, middle school, all around the United States. So we're not alone in this epidemic. But be aware too that if you are somebody that is vaping THC or nicotine, you're using drugs, you are drinking alcohol before you come to school, this is clearly a signal that you need help. And that's where our position comes from, is we want to get you the help that you need. So if we have any reasonable suspicion that you are under the influence or you are vaping, then we do have the ability to search you, including using metal detectors and involving then our SRO. Now, reasonable suspicion, here's a reasonable suspicion that's pretty common. 6 boys all walking into the bathroom all together, but nobody actually going to use the bathroom. That's reasonable suspicion. A group of girls huddled in a single stall together, that's a reasonable suspicion. So bathrooms, just use them to go to the bathroom, get in, get out, come back out, and there's plenty of places for you to hang out with your friends where we don't suspect that you are vaping or doing something you shouldn't be doing. So with this is why we care. You know, the tobacco companies, they are just trying to use teenagers to get you hooked. So we want to make sure that we break that cycle and that you don't develop an addiction when you're in your adolescent stage. We do have surveillance cameras on campus. There are cameras around and signs are posted. And then consequences for different negative behaviors, they vary depending on just the circumstance of what it is. So just be aware it increases with severity. But the most common one is detention. And detention, though, is something that if you get assigned to detention, try to serve it within a couple of days. Because if you fail to serve a detention, then one of the things we now have the ability to do with the Minga app is we can actually take away your privileges. So we can actually just go in and change and write in like a little badge that says loss of privileges, or we can shut down your digital ID to show that you can't go to the football game on Friday if you haven't served your detention, or you can't go to homecoming if that's the case. Now, beyond detentions, there are some worse offenses that require suspensions. So don't do this. Yeah, don't fight, don't threaten people, that type of thing. Here's more suspensionable, I don't think that's a word, but here are other actions that can lead to suspensions. So yeah, don't do this. Any of these really bad stuff goes to expulsions. Don't do these things. Mandatory expulsion means you are kicked out. And then here's some more mandatory expulsions. Don't do these things either. So with that, we do have, if there are some things going on campus that you need to report anonymously in order to make sure that our campus does stay safe, Rockland Unified School District does have on their homepage, they have an anonymous reporting system. So with that, if you see something, say something. Again, we all want to make sure that everybody stays safe here at Whitney High School. Now, your Whitney High School handbook, it does actually have some other cool information in it. So if you're thinking of bringing your cousin who happens to go to 12 Bridges High School to homecoming, well, here's your information on where to get a guest pass for her to come and join you. If you have information about the bus, right there. So use your Whitney High School handbook, not just for disciplinary information, but also for pretty much any other information that you need in order to be a productive student and an informed student at Whitney High School. So with that, after this little discipline talk, remember that really the discipline here at Whitney High School, we're not trying to punish you. We're really trying to correct and improve behaviors in order to make sure that you do graduate from Whitney High School and that you do live a safe and productive life. So with that, I thank you guys for listening. Please check your school email or Schoology updates. You are going to have a Google form that you will have to complete in order to make sure that you have acknowledged that you have seen this annual presentation. So with that, I'm Mrs. Shelton, and I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing day. And thank you for being such awesome students, to coin Mr. Collins' term. So thank you guys, and I'll see you around campus.